tonight joining us here on the program is the man who won the case for his client, A$AP Rocky, Joe Tacopina. And joining us right now is Joe Tacopina. Great to see you. It's been a while, Joe. Why am I getting older and you're getting younger? What's going on here? Explain that to me, please.
First of all, you look great. I'm just, I try to take care of myself. The older I get, the more I need to take care of myself, eat well, train pretty hard. It has to, it keeps my brain alive. So it's a necessity.
Well, during the course of a trial like this, can you even work out?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you have to. I mean, if I don't do that, I'm useless. I mean, you barely sleep during a trial. I mean, in any case, not just a high-profile, high-stakes case, but in any trial you do where someone's liberty is at stake, we're up. Chad and I have been doing this. Chad Seigel and I have been doing this for 22 years together. You're up until 4 in the morning, routinely. And if I can't squeeze a 45-minute workout in, it's my energy level just is seeped. So I have to, just to be able to make it through. Sometimes I'll do it quickly before court, in the morning early, or right after court. But it's a mandatory part of the trial preparation stuff. So absolutely. Okay. Now, in this case, did you feel extra pressure? Because there was the plea offer, right? We all heard about the plea offer. He wasn't going to go. He wasn't going to be locked up. But now he goes to trial. If he loses, he's getting locked up. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, I don't care what argument you're going to make. You're not getting the same situation or same deal after a trial, right? So did you feel extra pressure in light of the fact that your client, A$AP Rocky, turned that down? No, not at all. I mean, it was a very quick conversation with Rocky because he's innocent. He maintained his innocence from day one. And you can't take a plea to a gun assault case, even if it were meant, 6 months in jail, which really meant 3 months in jail. It was still a plea that would have altered his life and had him acknowledge something under oath that he didn't do. And so he wasn't willing to do it. And if they could have offered him 1 day in jail, he still wouldn't have taken it, despite the ramifications, if it didn't go well at trial. Now, that being said, Vinny, you know me for a long time. If I didn't think we were going to prevail, I would not have let him go down this road because the stakes were very high. He has those 2 beautiful babies. I've come to know the family very well. Rihanna is someone I care about, and I care about that family a lot. And so, if this didn't go well for him, he was not going to see a good part of their youth. And that's not something I was going to stand for. So look, you never know with a jury, and there's no guarantees. But it was the right thing to do. People were questioning our sanity. I mean, they were offering him 100 and whatever, 80 days, which translates into about 3 months after the reductions and all that stuff. And they're like, how could you not take that? He's on tape with what appears to be a gun and so on and so forth. And, bottom line is it wasn't even a close call. It just wasn't a close call. And we were confident, and thank God the jury, sort of viewed it our way. And it was a very quick verdict. I mean, when you think about it, 4 weeks, a month of trial and a 3-hour verdict, shows we viewed this the right way. And in our summation, which was 5.5 hours, we sort of hit every point that we thought.
The summation longer than the deliberations, right? That's a
summation.
Interesting equation.
And the deliberations, yeah.
Let's do this, because you mentioned the video. This is a crime prosecutor said was on video, and I saw the video. Let's take a look first at the shooting, and let's listen, because I hear a shot. I heard a shot. Is that a shot that we're listening to? Is that something being fired?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
There's 2 shots. Okay. And there's a video before that looks like Rocky holding what appears to be a gun in a different video, which is much more clear than that. So, yes. But the bottom line is...
All right, and we're showing that video now. So explain to us in your mind how you approach this if you've got a client with a video with a gun being fired twice and video of a gun in his hand. If we take a look at that second video, how do you approach this? Yeah. I mean, the gun's literally in his hand.
Right, that's the gun video, correct. Well, we approached it with truth, and we approached it with, testimony from people who were credible, and we eviscerated their witness on cross-examination, who I think was perhaps the least credible witness in the history of American jurisprudence. As I told that jury, I said that you guys had a front row seat to perhaps the least credible witness in the history of American jurisprudence. He admitted to perjury multiple times, Vinny. He got caught lying. I mean, not once, twice, dozens of times. He called evidence against him that we showed him, like recordings, text messages of his, fake, like literally called them fake, to the point where the jury stopped even looking at him. He was volatile in the courtroom. He cursed in the courtroom. He threw a water bottle. He was losing his mind with me. He wanted to come off that stand, take a shot. There was no question about that. So it was quite the glorious train wreck of a witness testimony. And so what I'm about to say is, despite those videos, so you have 3 videos. You have a video of him holding what appears to be a gun. You have that grainy video where you hear the shots, boom, boom. And that comes from a Nest cam, but it's, when you put it together, it definitely sounds like 2 shots. And you have this Relly guy testifying to it. So if you remove this Relly from the scene, and I want to, his testimony, I mean, and look, that's not something I asked. I was objected to. But the prosecutor actually stood up and said to the case detective, Detective Flores, who I quarreled with, I don't quarrel with him. He was a very good case detective. He was asked, if you take Relly's testimony out of the picture, do you still make out a shooting? And he said, in my opinion, yes, you do. I got to get up again on recross examination. I said, well, let's unpackage that summary statement that you just made. Yes, you do. Without Relly's testimony, who's saying he got shot even though his knuckles were scraped as if it were a punch, which he did attack and punch some other individual, and that's clear on the video. I said, without that testimony, without him saying, he found shell casings at the scene an hour and 45 minutes later, after the police returned, Vinny, within 10 minutes, the police came with 7 police officers. In 10 minutes of the incident, were at the scene searching with police searchlights and found 0 shell casings. They looked in the exact same spot that he claims he looked in an hour and 45 minutes later, and miraculously within 1 minute found 2 shell casings at 11:45 at night, when the police couldn't find them. 7 police officers with flashlights. His testimony had to be removed from the mix, according to the prosecution's question. I followed up on that. I said, well, Detective Ford, let's unpack it. In that first video where you see what appears to be a gun, I said, is it possible that that's not a gun or it's not an operable gun? He said, yes. So you don't know if that's an operable or inoperable gun, correct? He said, correct. So that's one video without Relly gone. Second video, that grainy video that you see where you hear the shots. I said, the video alone, without the sound, you cannot make out any evidence of a shooting, correct? And he said, correct. You cannot make out any evidence of a shooting. I mean, you can barely make out evidence of people, let alone a shooting. But so you cannot make that out, correct, Detective? He said, that's correct. I said, so what else do you have to, without Relly's testimony, make this a shooting? He said, well, you have the sounds, 2 sounds of 2 shots being fired. I said, true, you do. I said, but what else could make those sounds besides a gun? I said, couldn't a starter pistol or a replica gun make those sounds? And he said, yes, they could. I said, so those sounds could be made by not only a real gun, but a prop gun, a replica gun, correct? And he said, yes. Well, there you go. So those 3 pieces of evidence, without this complainant who literally fell apart on the witness stand, was an admitted perjurer, got caught in extortion. Without his testimony, the case was not, there's no evidence of a shooting one way or another. It's possible.
Right,
it's possible,
but
possible,
exactly.
yes.
And he's the victim. So he's the alleged victim in the case. So you need his testimony. So let me ask you this, though, about the starter gun. This is the part I think I had the biggest problem with, because your client obviously has access to money. He can hire someone like you from New York to come out to LA to try this case.
Right.
If in fact it was a starter gun and he gave it to one of his workers, his manager, and his manager returned it to the person from the music video,
prop company, yes.
Why didn't you guys just track it down?
Well, don't think we didn't try.
Okay, so explain that to me, how you tried to track it down.
Yeah. Here's how that worked. So this prop gun was taken from, look, and the reason he had a prop gun, because he wasn't licensed to carry at the time. He was licensed to have guns in his home. He was not licensed to carry. He had been a victim of a violent slashing on his face. He still carries a scar with him today. But right before that incident, he was a victim of a stalker. He had literally a stalker following him, 2 stalkers. One actually broke into his house. He had home invasions. So he was advised by security, when you're not using security, you should carry a replica gun, a prop gun, so to speak. And they jiggied up that prop gun. It was the gun from the music video, DMB music video with Rihanna is the one he took. You could see it in the video. He took it and they sort of put an extended magazine in there. Again, all prop. Extended magazine in there and a belt clip on it so it could stay in his clip. There was witness testimony to that. The person who did it testified. And that was used as a deterrent when he didn't have security with him. He kept it on him. And the one time he had to use it was this night. But there were many people who knew he carried this prop gun with him. Two of the witnesses who knew it testified. And so he used it that night. Clearly it didn't work. The guy who actually he was entangled with, this rally, apparently knew he had a prop gun, because if someone pulls a gun out on you, threatens your life, and then you're lucky enough for them to have put that gun away, the last thing you're going to do is follow them when they walk away from you, berate them, become an agitator, be aggressive towards them, threaten them, challenge them to shoot you if you think they have a real gun. So, I mean, that's exactly what happened here. And that defied common sense. Even the cops said to me, that didn't make sense. I mean, the cops told the jury that. So, you know, there was so many things about this case that factually defied common sense.
But tell me about trying to track down that prop gun.
So anyway, after that November 6th incident where it clearly didn't work, he shot this thing twice. It makes the sound of a regular gun. It set off car alarms. He was, you know, he had to leave. His ASAP 12E told him, get out of here. The police are going to be coming now. It's a big mess. He said, well, this thing, he went to Lou and he said, this thing is not working as a deterrent. Clearly, the one time I had to use it, it didn't work. I don't want this thing. I'm just going to use security every time, 24/7 now. When I'm out, I'm using security from now on. He wasn't doing that at the time in 2021. He didn't have the financial wherewithal yet. And so things were just starting to really hit for Rocky. So anyway, he gave the gun back to Lou. Lou called this guy Haji, who ran this prop. It's not just prop guns, but prop lights and all these other things for videos and movies. So it was given back to this Haji in New York. Haji spoke to the prosecutors on the phone, confirmed everything. We then, when Rocky was arrested, this was 6 months later, Rocky was arrested. Apparently calls were made by investigators and whatnot to try, by Lou in particular, to try and get that back. And what Haji said was, dude, it was put back in our studio, and their studio was shared by about 7 other different producers of different films and movies and whatnot. He goes, stuff is swapped in and out every day. It's not in there, and I have no idea where that went. They're not registered weapons, so they're just like pieces of plastic that you can take and leave and whatever. Well,
it's not just a piece of plastic though, because it actually fires, right? Because it's a starter pistol.
Yeah. I understand. Well, it doesn't fire anything. Nothing comes out of it. I mean, it fires. It makes a sound.
It makes a sound. Pistol, right?
Yeah. Nothing's projected. Nothing comes out of the gun. So there's nothing that ejects out of the gun. So anyway, long story short is, this Haji went back to his studio. He put out a memo. Apparently, he was speaking to people. There's 7 other groups in that whole studio that apparently all shared the studio. They couldn't locate the gun. They had the starter gun. Again, this was 6, 7, 8 months after it was returned, and that was it. And we just tried, and Lou kept trying, and that was it. I spoke to Haji. He assured me that there's no way to get it. They could try and get a replica of it. I said, no. We don't want a replica of it. That would be not admissible into evidence, and I wouldn't want to, misrepresent.
You have to get the actual one, and if you can't get it, you can't get it. So before we run out of time, Joe, because I know you got to get back to the gym. Let's do this. I got to show it. I got to show it one more time. It's going to end up being one of the most iconic verdicts in the history of this network. Let's take another look at ASAP Rocky, the not guilty, and the reaction.
We, the jury, the above entitled action, find the defendant, Rakeem Mayers, not guilty of...
All right, what's going through your mind as your client is diving into the crowd or into Rihanna's arms?
Yeah, what was going through my mind is, where did he go? We had one more count remaining, Vinny. We had one more count remaining.
There was one more count.
Yes, there was 2 counts, and I was laser focused on the clerk's verdicts. I honestly, Vinny, I didn't know he left. If you look at my face, I'm still focused straight ahead. because he just turned to the right and left. I thought he was just hugging my partner, and he just left. And so I turned to look at him, say, we have one more to go, we're good. And he was gone. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's spy surfing. Look, so if you see, I'm looking straight ahead. I didn't know he took off. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, this will be horribly embarrassing if the jury comes back on the second count with the conviction.
Right.
Not that I thought they would.
And that has happened.
Not that I thought they would, but my God. And then I had to explain to him, we have one more to go. Okay, just stay here with me.
Here.
Let's go through this. You'll see when he comes back, I put my arm around him, I whisper into his ear.
So now,
and then there was that.
Tell me about this moment.
That was the real one.
Tell me what this is like for you.
I was put in a full-blown chokehold right there. I was starting to lose consciousness right about now, as you can see, but he let me go eventually. And I turned to thank the jury, and that's what I was doing there. But yeah, that was raw emotion, Vinny. I mean, that was as raw as it gets. I mean, Rihanna, she came out of that well and gave me the biggest hug. She was bawling, absolutely bawling. She was Rocky's mom was a beautiful woman, sweetheart, and she also was. I mean, the emotions were so raw because what could have happened there? You said it in the beginning of the show. He could have either been going into a jail cell that day. He was going in that day if he was convicted, right then and there, for a decade or more, or he was going home to see his children.
Wow.
And I'll never forget Rihanna's words to me. It was like, she said, "Thank you for saving my family." And that was, it got to me a little bit. I got to be honest with you. It was look, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's my 120th jury trial, and I used to be a prosecutor, but defending people in a situation like this where their lives are on the line, I don't mean death penalty. I mean their lives.
Right. Watch, and you have kids. You have 1 million kids. Watch them grow up. That's what we do. That's what we do. Joe Tacopina, great to catch up with you. I hope you have somebody, like you hired a full-time operator, because you're going to get calls around the clock from everybody now that they've seen what you did out there in LA. So appreciate your time today. I know you're tired, but I know you're going to hit the gym anyway. Thanks so much, Joe.
Thanks.
All right.